The Psychological Principles of BDSM Desire of Women. Introduction: Why Understanding Matters. If you're a man reading this book, chances are you've encountered something that both intrigued and confused you: a woman expressing interest in BDSM, maybe subtly, maybe boldly. Perhaps she asked to be choked during sex. Maybe she confessed a fantasy involving submission, restraint, or punishment. Or maybe she hasn't said anything aloud, but her eyes gave something away when the subject came up. And now, you're left wondering, why? What drives that kind of desire? You're not alone in asking. For many men, the world of BDSM can feel like unfamiliar territory, especially when it appears in the sexual desires of women they love, date, or want to understand better. Some may feel excited. Others, uncertain or even uncomfortable. Is it a sign of past trauma? A fetish? A red flag? Or is it something deeper and more meaningful? This book is here to give you clarity, not through fantasy or stereotypes, but through a grounded, psychological lens. At its core, female BDSM desire isn't about pain, punishment, or control for their own sake. It's about power, surrender, emotional intensity, and deep trust. It's not the leather or the ropes that matter, it's what they represent in the psyche and the body. Sexual desire in women, especially when it leans toward BDSM, is often misunderstood because it contradicts the dominant cultural narratives we've been told that female sexuality is passive, fragile, or simple. In truth, it's complex, layered, and profoundly psychological. Understanding that complexity doesn't make you weak or manipulative, it makes you capable. Capable of connection, of leadership, of holding space for a woman's full erotic self. In this book, we'll explore the core psychological principles behind BDSM desire in women. We'll talk about why surrender is arousing, why being dominated can feel like being seen, and how certain emotional states, trust, anticipation, containment, unlock levels of desire that traditional sex often doesn't reach. We'll also talk about the kind of man a woman can safely surrender to, not a brute, but a deeply grounded, emotionally intelligent leader. Whether you're curious, skeptical, or already experienced, this book will help you become a more aware, confident, and emotionally present man. Not just in the bedroom, but in the intimate psychological space that defines real erotic connection. This is not a book about techniques, it's a book about understanding her mind, so you can meet her there, with strength, care, and intention. Let's begin. Chapter 1: The Complexity of Female Sexuality. To understand her desire, you must first unlearn what you think you know about it. Sexual desire in women is rarely straightforward, especially when viewed through the lens of traditional, male-centered expectations. Men are often taught to associate arousal with visual stimulus, linear escalation, and physical release. For many women, though, arousal is far more psychological than physical, circular rather than linear, and often driven by a complex emotional ecosystem. If you want to understand a woman's BDSM desires, you have to begin here, by recognizing that female sexuality operates differently, and that difference is not a flaw, nor a puzzle to be solved, it's a landscape to be explored with curiosity, patience, and presence. 1.1 Female arousal is non-linear. Most men are taught to think of sex like a light switch: touch the right buttons, and arousal builds steadily toward orgasm. Women's arousal, especially in emotionally charged contexts like BDSM, is more like a dimly lit room with hidden doors. One moment, she may crave closeness. The next, distance. A teasing word may turn her on more than a naked body. Power dynamics may excite her more than physical stimulation. Her arousal is not a checklist, it's a story. And you, as her partner, are not just a participant, but a narrator, guide, and co-creator of that story. This complexity is not a problem, it's the source of erotic richness. It's why surrendering to a dominant partner can be so deeply arousing for her. It short-circuits the everyday noise in her mind and drops her into a world where clarity, focus, and intensity take over. 1.2 The Paradox of Safety and Surrender. Many men misunderstand what women mean when they say they want a safe partner. Safety doesn't mean soft. It doesn't mean tame. It means emotionally trustworthy. When a woman says she wants a man who makes her feel safe, she means safe to be vulnerable, safe to explore, safe to give up control, knowing it won't be used against her. This is the psychological key to BDSM. For many women, the desire to submit, to be dominated, to be taken is rooted not in fear, but in trust. She desires the freedom to surrender, but only to a man who has earned it. That surrender, whether it's expressed through bondage, impact play, obedience, or restraint, can only be erotic when it is voluntary and respected. In fact, it's the very contrast between danger and safety, between control and care, that makes the dynamic so powerful. 1.3 Cultural repression and erotic liberation. Women are raised in a world that bombards them with conflicting messages about sexuality. Be sexy, but not too sexy. Be desirable, but not desiring. Be open, but not too open. As a result, many women carry a mixture of shame, confusion, and constraint when it comes to expressing desire, especially desire that involves submission, taboo, or so-called rough play. BDSM can offer psychological liberation from these constraints. Within the container of consensual dominance and submission, a woman can experience intensity without fear of judgment, explore taboo without guilt, reclaim agency by choosing to relinquish it on her terms. It's in these paradoxes that female BDSM desire lives. Wanting to say no, but be overpowered. Wanting to feel used, while being cherished. Wanting to be taken, while being deeply respected. And the man who understands these emotional and psychological truths. He becomes more than a lover, he becomes a mirror to her hidden desires, a vessel for her expression, and a leader of her most intimate self-explorations. 1 point for the mind is the primary erogenous zone. It's tempting to focus on techniques, toys, or scripts, but before anything physical happens, arousal must begin in the mind. For many women, desire isn't triggered by what you do, but by how you make her feel. Do you see her? Do you know what turns her on without her saying it? Do you lead with confidence and emotional presence? This is the core of psychological dominance. It's not about barking orders or pretending to be in charge. It's about being tuned in enough to guide her deeper into herself, deeper into her desire, her fear, her longing. When a woman trusts you on that level, what she will give you in return is not just her body, but her full erotic self, her unfiltered craving, her hidden fire. 1.5 Desire is not always polite, and that's the point. There is a part of every person, man or woman, that craves intensity. That wants to feel overwhelmed, undone, ravished. For many women, BDSM allows that part to emerge without shame. She may not tell you she wants to be pinned down, told what to do, or punished for misbehaving. She may not even fully understand why she fantasizes about being restrained, spanked, or called names. But those desires are not pathological, they are deeply human. Your role is not to judge her desire, or even to analyze it. Your role is to honor it. You do that by listening. By being present. By leading with empathy and strength. By knowing the line between dominance and cruelty, and never crossing it. Key takeaways for men. Female desire is psychologically driven and often non-linear. Surrender requires trust, not just arousal. BDSM is not abuse, it's a consensual framework for erotic intensity and emotional safety. A woman's desire to submit is often a declaration of trust, not weakness. Your emotional leadership, presence, and attunement are the most important tools you have. Chapter 2. What is BDSM really about? When most people hear BDSM, their minds flash to images of chains, leather, whips, and dark rooms. But if you're here to understand the female experience of BDSM, you'll need to set aside pop culture stereotypes and look deeper. BDSM isn't fundamentally about pain, punishment, or cruelty, it's about psychological intensity, emotional surrender, and erotic trust. For many women, it's not what is done to them, but what BDSM allows them to feel. BDSM is psychological play. At its core, BDSM is a form of psychological theater, a space where both partners adopt roles that amplify power dynamics, sensation, and intimacy in a controlled, consensual way. For women, the appeal often lies not in the physical acts themselves but in the emotional charge that comes from those acts. A blindfold isn't just a blindfold, it's a symbol of trust. A spanking isn't just impact, it's a moment of attention, dominance, and focus. Women are often turned on not by the pain or restraint, but by what those actions represent. He's in control. He sees me, and takes responsibility for the moment. I don't have to think. I just feel. These inner monologues aren't about helplessness. They're about liberation from performance, stress, decision-making, and emotional overthinking. Control and surrender. BDSM thrives on the erotic power exchange. Many women are drawn to submission not because they lack power, but because they live in constant states of responsibility, work, emotional caretaking, decision-making. The chance to surrender that control, within a safe and consensual dynamic, becomes deeply appealing. A submissive experience might feel like, I can trust him to take over. He's strong enough to hold my darkness, my wildness, my intensity. I'm free to express desire without shame. Submission is not weakness. It's a voluntary gift of vulnerability. That gift can only be given to a man who earns it. Fantasy versus reality: why women crave safe danger. One of the most misunderstood elements of BDSM is the appeal of danger, and why women may fantasize about dominance, even roughness, in erotic contexts. The key word here is fantasize. Fantasy is not autobiography. Just because a woman enjoys being tied up, spanked, or ordered around doesn't mean she wants those things in her daily life or in non-consensual situations. These are safe containers that allow her to feel danger without being in danger. In other words, she wants to feel overpowered but actually be empowered by her consent. Feel ravished but actually be revered. Lose control emotionally but remain completely safe. BDSM, at its best, provides a carefully negotiated space for this paradox to thrive. Dominance as emotional leadership. To a woman who craves BDSM dynamics, a dominant man is not simply someone who gives orders or applies force. He is someone who can read her emotional signals, create structure and safety, take initiative without disregarding her boundaries, deepen her experience, not diminish it. Women crave men who are attuned, decisive, and emotionally anchored. Dominance is less about being aggressive and more about offering containment. I've got you. You can let go now. This emotional containment is incredibly arousing when expressed through commanding presence, ritual or structure, e.g., routines, rules, roleplay, physical restraint that mirrors emotional trust. BDSM as emotional intensity. Many women experience sexual desire as something contextual and emotionally layered, not instant and mechanical. BDSM can accelerate arousal because it builds a story. There's tension, suspense, vulnerability, a sense of narrative. The psychological stakes are higher, which makes the sensations more vivid. This emotional intensity is often what separates BDSM play from just sex. It allows for catharsis, release of stored emotion, identity exploration, e.g., being a good girl or bad girl, transcendence, losing oneself in sensation and role. When a woman is in a submissive space, she may feel more alive, more emotionally raw, more sexually free, because the frame allows her to let go of everything else. Conclusion: BDSM is the language of deep desire. To truly understand a woman's BDSM desires, you must stop seeing it as a kink and start seeing it as a language, a coded, symbolic expression of things she may not know how to ask for directly. BDSM is not about breaking her down, it's about breaking her open. To her own body. To her primal instincts. To your leadership. To a kind of pleasure she might not even fully understand herself. The more you understand the why beneath the what, the more powerfully you can connect with her, not just sexually, but emotionally, spiritually, and erotically. Chapter 3: The Erotic Mind. If you want to understand what turns women on, especially in the realm of BDSM, you have to understand something most men overlook: female desire is often more psychological than physical. While male arousal can be direct, visual, and stimulus-driven, many women's arousal patterns are complex, layered, and deeply tied to emotional context, narrative, and imagination. BDSM, more than most erotic frameworks, speaks directly to this complexity. Taboo, the psychological aphrodisiac. One of the most powerful drivers of female arousal is taboo. The very things a woman is told she shouldn't want, surrender, being overpowered, being used, being owned, often become the centerpieces of her most intense fantasies. But this doesn't mean she wants these things in real life in a literal, uncontrolled way. What arouses her is the safe exploration of those themes. It's the act of dancing at the edge of danger, while trusting she's never truly at risk. The mind, not the body, is the true playground. Women are conditioned from a young age to be good, to control themselves, to not be too sexual. BDSM fantasy allows her to let go of those rules, to embrace the parts of herself society says she shouldn't express. Key point: the presence of taboo heightens arousal. Not because something is wrong, but because it feels thrilling to break the rules in a safe, consensual container. Fantasy versus reality: why the mind needs distance. Many men get confused when they hear women talk about fantasies that involve being tied up, controlled, even forced in consensual scenarios. These same women may be fiercely independent, assertive, and strong-willed in daily life. What gives? The answer is psychological distance. In fantasy, women can create distance from themselves and the world. They don't have to be submissive all the time. They just get to feel submissive in that moment and experience the freedom of not being in control. Fantasy allows her to flirt with powerlessness without losing her power. This psychological space is vital. It's what makes it safe for her to enjoy the themes that would be terrifying, violating, or unacceptable in real life. In BDSM, when done properly, the structure of consent creates the freedom to lose control. Tip for men: never confuse her fantasies with her real-world wants or values. She doesn't want you to ignore her consent, she wants you to create a scenario where she can surrender it voluntarily. Narrative: the erotic storyline of surrender. Women's desire is often story-driven. This is why romance novels, fan fiction, and elaborate roleplay are so popular with women. The context of the desire matters as much, or more, than the act itself. In the BDSM context, it's not just about being tied up, it's about why she's being tied up. Who is this man? Why does he want her? What makes her powerless to resist? The story behind the act is the arousal. This is why subtle, psychological dominance, such as commanding presence, anticipation, delayed gratification, and emotional intensity, can be more powerful than overt aggression. For many women, arousal builds through anticipation, delayed consent, teasing denial, narrative tension. BDSM provides a perfect structure for this erotic storytelling. A good dominant doesn't just perform an act, he creates an emotional arc that she can fall into. The role of emotional intensity. BDSM amplifies sensation, not just physically, but emotionally. Being bound makes touch feel deeper. Being told what to do makes surrender feel real. The vulnerability of being exposed creates heightened intensity. The more emotionally she invests, the more physically intense her pleasure can become. In fact, many women report orgasms not from genital stimulation alone, but from emotional surrender, control, and psychological intensity. BDSM can unlock forms of pleasure that aren't available through casual or conventional sex. But only when done in the right emotional atmosphere. Takeaway: understanding her erotic mind. To connect with a woman's BDSM desires, you must engage her mind, not just her body. You must understand. Her arousal is often tied to psychological distance and emotional safety. Taboo, when explored consensually, can be deeply arousing. The story matters because through narrative, she accesses different versions of herself. Vulnerability and intensity are features, not bugs. If you can learn to build trust, create a container for exploration, and speak to her erotic imagination, you'll unlock a level of intimacy and desire that most men never even realize exists. Chapter 4: The Desire for Surrender. To understand the psychology of a woman's BDSM desires, perhaps the most central, yet most misunderstood, element is the desire to surrender. To many men, this can seem contradictory. Why would a strong, independent woman want to give up control? Why would she crave domination in the bedroom when she resists it everywhere else? The answer lies in the emotional and psychological landscape of surrender, not as weakness, but as a form of strength, trust, and liberation. Surrender is not submission to weakness, it's submission to strength. Contrary to popular belief, many women who crave BDSM, particularly submissive roles, are not passive, timid, or powerless in their daily lives. In fact, it's often the opposite. These women are leaders, caretakers, decision-makers, and overthinkers. Their minds are constantly processing, managing, navigating. For such women, surrender becomes a form of psychological relief. Within the boundaries of trust and safety, surrender is a chosen release from control. It's not about being overpowered against her will, it's about being able to let go in the presence of someone strong enough to handle her. "I don't want to be controlled by life," one woman put it. "But I want to be controlled by a man I trust, just for a while. It makes me feel safe, not small." This distinction is critical. Women don't want to surrender to just any man. They want to surrender to a man who has earned the right to hold their vulnerability. The psychology behind surrender. At its core, surrender meets three deep psychological needs for many women. 1. Safety through structure. In BDSM, rules, roles, and rituals provide a clear structure. In a world where women are often expected to navigate ambiguity and emotional labor, a clear power dynamic can offer emotional certainty. She knows who she is in that moment, what's expected, and what will happen next. That structure can be incredibly calming, even erotic. 2. Emotional immersion. When a woman surrenders in a BDSM context, she may enter a deep emotional state, sometimes referred to as a subspace. It's a unique psychological state of presence, trust, and heightened sensation. Think of it as a form of erotic meditation. Her mind is focused, her body alive, her heart open. This state is not passive. It's immersive. 3. Trust as erotic currency. Trust is what makes surrender erotic. It's not the rope, the blindfold, or the command, it's the emotional risk of giving oneself over and knowing he will hold, guide, and protect her through it. For many women, the most arousing thing a man can offer is certainty, clarity of intention, presence of mind, and confidence of action. Why strong women crave surrender. One of the most common misconceptions is that submission is for weak women. In reality, strong women often desire BDSM play because it creates balance. She may run businesses, manage households, lead teams. She is constantly making decisions, navigating stress, and managing expectations. BDSM becomes the space where she can hand over the weight of constant control. She doesn't have to explain, decide, or negotiate. She just has to feel. This surrender isn't regression. It's restoration. "I don't want to be less of myself in those moments," said another woman. "I want to be more. More raw. More real. More known." In the right hands, surrender allows her to reconnect with her emotional body, her instincts, her primal side. And that, for many women, is intensely arousing. What this means for men. If you're a man reading this book, here's what matters. 1. Surrender requires strength from you. Not brute strength, but emotional resilience, clarity, and empathy. She can't surrender if she feels unsure, unheld, or unseen. You must lead the space with calm, grounded confidence, not ego. 2. You must earn her trust. Surrender is a gift, not an entitlement. It can't be demanded or tricked, it must be invited through presence, listening, and consistency. Ask yourself, can I hold her emotional intensity without flinching? Can I stay grounded when she tests me? Can I lead with calm, not control? 3. Surrender is not a shortcut to sex, it's a gateway to intimacy. Many men approach BDSM with a pornified lens, expecting instant submission without emotional groundwork. But the real erotic power of BDSM is not in the acts themselves, but in the relationship dynamic they create. If you understand her psychology, what makes her feel seen, safe, and free, you unlock a deeper level of sexual and emotional intimacy than most men will ever access. Ritual, symbol, and the erotic frame. One reason BDSM is so powerful is because it creates ritual. Ritual tells the brain, this is a different space, a different self. A blindfold, a whispered command, a collar, these are not about props. They are symbols. They say, you can let go now. You are safe. I've got you. And in that moment, her surrender is not just sexual, it's emotional, psychological, even spiritual. Final thought, surrender as a gift. When a woman surrenders to you, even in a single moment, it is not weakness. It is one of the most courageous acts of trust she can offer. Your job is not to exploit it, but to honor it. To dominate well is to protect, to guide, to lead, not for your ego, but for her freedom. And when you do it right, when you give her that freedom through structure, presence, and power, her desire for you will deepen beyond what words or logic can contain. Chapter 5: The Power of Being Seen and Controlled. It's not about giving up control. It's about choosing who is worthy of it. Anonymous submissive woman. In a world where women are often expected to multitask, perform, and constantly self-regulate, many find deep psychological and erotic satisfaction in letting go, but only when it's safe to do so. At the heart of many women's BDSM desires is a craving not just to submit, but to be deeply seen and intentionally controlled by a man who understands her needs. This chapter explores how attention, focus, control, and containment act as powerful psychological triggers in female submission, and why many women crave a dominant presence that is rooted not in arrogance, but in attunement. 1. Erotic attention, the fuel of female arousal. For many women, desire begins not in the body, but in the mind. It's the slow build of awareness that someone is paying attention, not just to her appearance, but to her mood, tone, rhythm, and emotional shifts. Being truly seen is rare, and that rarity gives it power. In a BDSM context, this attention is amplified. The dominant watches, guides, corrects. His focus is not casual, it's consuming. And that alone can be profoundly erotic. Dominant presence says, I see you. I know what you need. And I will take you there. When a woman feels this kind of attention, especially from a trusted partner, it bypasses layers of self-doubt or performative behavior. She no longer needs to manage the moment. Her awareness collapses into a singular experience, being desired, held, and noticed. 2. Erotic control versus coercion. Control in BDSM is often misunderstood. It is not about force, it is about willing surrender. A woman's submission is not extracted, it is gifted. What makes that gift possible is the perception that the dominant knows how to wield power responsibly and pleasurably. When a man guides her movements, limits her choices, or gives instructions with calm confidence, he creates a psychological frame that says, you can let go now, I've got you. That moment of relinquishing control can be euphoric. It is both vulnerable and empowering. Control done right doesn't diminish her, it liberates her. The difference between control and coercion is consent, trust, and purpose. Erotic control is always done with her, never to her. 3. The psychology of objectification. Objectification is usually discussed in a negative light, and rightly so, when it is dehumanizing or degrading. But in BDSM, consensual objectification can be thrilling. Why? Because it creates a moment where the submissive woman becomes the singular focus of erotic energy. She is not ignored, she is the center of the scene. Being used within a safe, pre-negotiated dynamic can be a powerful fantasy. It tells her, you are so desirable, I can't help myself. You are mine right now, fully and without distraction. You are worthy of this much attention and lust. What makes this empowering instead of degrading is the trusting context and the emotional scaffolding that holds it. She can be objectified because she knows, at a deeper level, that her full humanity is not only recognized, but revered. For control as containment, holding her emotionally. Control isn't just about what happens physically. For many women, the dominant psychological control is even more arousing than commands or positions. When a man can hold emotional intensity without flinching, when he doesn't shrink from her tears, her moans, her fear, or her pleasure, he becomes her emotional container. And in this space, she can expand fully. This is why many women describe their ideal dominant not as the most aggressive man, but as the one who is calm but commanding, grounded but intense, unshakable but present. She surrenders, not because she is weak, but because she senses he is strong enough to hold everything she brings, including her wildest expressions of lust, rage, or release. 5. The deepest desire, to be known and directed. At the root of it all is this: women want to be understood. In BDSM, when a man knows how to read her body, anticipate her reactions, and adjust in real time, it tells her she is not just being controlled, she is being studied, known, and cherished. When dominance is grounded in curiosity, care, and precision, control becomes erotic choreography. He leads. She follows. But both are dancing. Practical takeaways for men. Observe more deeply. Watch her reactions, not just her words. Does she light up when you take charge? Get still when you whisper a command? Take control with purpose. Don't bark orders to feel powerful. Guide her to feel more deeply, safely, and freely. Check your presence. Are you with her mentally, emotionally, energetically? Women can sense when you're performing versus truly holding the space. Contain her experience. If she cries, trembles, or pushes limits, remain steady. Let her know you are unshaken, and you're not leaving. Closing thoughts. Being seen, controlled, and guided by a dominant man who cares is one of the most arousing and transformative experiences a woman can have. It is not just about kink or sex. It is about stepping into a version of herself that only emerges when she knows she's truly held. And when you, as a man, master this level of attunement and control, not only will her body surrender, but so will her trust. Chapter 6: Pain, Pleasure, and Emotional Catharsis. Pain is not the opposite of pleasure. Sometimes, it's the path to it. Introduction: Reframing pain. To many men unfamiliar with BDSM, the idea that a woman might desire pain during sex can feel confusing or even disturbing. Isn't pain inherently negative? Isn't the job of a good lover to protect a woman from discomfort, not inflict it? But in the context of consensual BDSM, pain is not just tolerated, it's often sought after, and it's charged with emotional meaning. For many women, the experience of controlled, consensual pain is not about punishment, humiliation, or degradation. It's about release, intensity, and emotional catharsis. Understanding this isn't about learning to hurt a woman, it's about learning how to emotionally hold her through the experience. The pain she desires isn't abuse. It's carefully constructed intensity that pushes her past her own internal walls into a state of surrender, transformation, and sometimes, even ecstasy. The neurochemistry of pain and pleasure. Pain and pleasure aren't opposites in the brain, they're neighbors. When the body experiences pain, even mild or symbolic pain, it often releases endorphins, dopamine, oxytocin, and other feel-good neurochemicals. This release can lead to euphoria, emotional openness, heightened physical sensitivity, a high similar to post-orgasmic bliss. This phenomenon is known in the BDSM world as a subspace, a trance-like, altered state of consciousness brought on by intense sensation, trust, and surrender. For some women, enduring consensual pain during a scene allows them to enter subspace, where ordinary boundaries, anxieties, and thoughts melt away. It becomes a moment of pure presence and emotional release. Pain a symbol, not punishment. It's important to understand that the pain women often desire in BDSM is symbolic, not punitive. For example, a spanking may symbolize power exchange, not literal discipline. A hair pull may communicate primal attraction and ownership, not cruelty. A flogging may bring emotional release, not shame, but liberation. Pain in this context becomes a language. It says, I see you. You are mine. You can let go now. I've got you. And critically, it's never just the pain itself, but who is giving it, how, and what it means emotionally to both partners. The masochistic paradox, agency in surrender. There's a common stereotype that masochism is passive, weak, or a sign of low self-worth. In reality, female masochism is often an empowered choice, a desire to experience deep sensation, to feel penetrated not just physically, but emotionally. Some women describe the experience of receiving pain as a way to shut off the brain and feel their bodies more intensely. A way to release guilt, grief, or emotional armor. A form of spiritual cleansing or rebirth. A pathway into deeper intimacy. Masochism allows them to say, I trust you enough to let you take me there. And that, for many women, is the most erotic experience of all, to be emotionally naked with a man who can handle the intensity of her surrender. Ritual, rhythm, and structure, the architecture of emotional release. When pain is delivered with rhythm, care, and ritual, it creates a container for emotional catharsis. Much like a tribal dance or a ceremony, BDSM can offer a structure where she knows what's coming. She can let go of control. She feels safe even as she's stretched. Men who wish to engage women in this kind of play need to understand that pain without presence is meaningless. But pain with presence? That's where transformation happens. Whether it's spanking, bondage, or rougher forms of touch, what matters most is intention. Why are you doing this? Attunement. Are you watching her, listening to her body? Care. Do you know how to guide her back from emotional intensity? This is why aftercare, gentle cuddling, soothing words, or holding space, is essential. It tells her, you are safe. You are loved. I'm still here. What it means for you, as a man. If you're reading this to better understand women's BDSM desires, here's what you should take away from this chapter. 1. She doesn't want to be hurt. She wants to feel deeply. Pain is one path to that depth when it's intentional, contained, and connected. 2. Masochistic desire doesn't signal weakness. It often requires more strength and trust than a vanilla sex. 3. Your role is not to punish, but to lead. A dominant man doesn't inflict pain randomly. He guides her into surrender and holds her as she lets go. 4. Presence technique. You don't need a whip. You need focus, attunement, and the courage to meet her intensity with your own. Final thought, the gift of surrender. For many women, consensual pain in BDSM is not about being less than. It's about being held more fully, in her desire, her vulnerability, and her truth. The pain is not the goal. It's the portal. When you understand that, you unlock not just her arousal, but her trust, her devotion, and her wildest passion. And that's the kind of power worth learning to hold. Absolutely. Below is Chapter 7, The Responsible Dominant, drawn from your outline. It's written in a tone that is educational, psychologically grounded, and empathetic, tailored for a male audience seeking to better understand the emotional and psychological dynamics women experience in BDSM contexts. Chapter 7, The Responsible Dominant. True dominance isn't about taking control. It's about being trusted with it. Unknown. The myth of the aggressive alpha. Many men who begin exploring dominance conflate it with aggression or selfish power. Cultural images of BDSM are often distorted, brooding billionaires tying up submissive women without much negotiation or care. In reality, female desire in BDSM is rarely about being used, it's about being seen, held, and trusted enough to let go. A responsible dominant is not a dictator, but a leader in the psychological space of intimacy. Women submit not because they are weak, but because they find power in surrendering to someone they trust. That trust is earned through presence, empathy, and self-awareness, not brute force. What women actually want in a dominant man. Every woman is unique, but across experiences and research, certain themes consistently emerge when women describe the kind of dominant man who arouses them deeply. 1. Presence over performance. Dominance isn't about elaborate scripts, it's about being fully present. She notices when your attention is divided. A true dominant tunes into her breath, her body, her tension and relaxation. 2. Emotional strength, not just physical confidence. A dominant man can handle her emotional reactions, tears, laughter, resistance, vulnerability. Emotional steadiness builds safety, which deepens her arousal. 3. Leadership with empathy. Dominance is guidance, not imposition. Leading means reading her reactions and adjusting accordingly. The best dominants care about her experience more than their ego. The protector versus the predator. A key psychological tension in BDSM is the line between danger and safety. The best dominant men embody the protector who can simulate danger, not someone who is dangerous. The protector archetype builds trust through consistency, uses strength in service of her surrender, cares deeply for her emotional well-being. The predator archetype, unsafe, ignores boundaries or mocks them, seeks control for ego gratification, lacks emotional accountability. If she feels you are emotionally or physically unsafe, her arousal will collapse, even if the fantasy involved danger. The turn-on comes from consensual, constructed danger inside a frame of unwavering trust. Consent is not just a checklist. In the world of BDSM, consent is sacred. But it's more than just getting a yes to proceed. It's about continuous checking in, verbally and non-verbally. Understanding her body language, not just her words. Being tuned into subtle cues, tension, withdrawal, overcompliance. True dominance involves reading the unspoken. A responsible dominant knows that the most powerful form of control is one that she chooses to give and always has the right to take back. The role of aftercare. Many women describe intense emotional release during BDSM scenes, sometimes called subspace, where the submissive experiences euphoria, disorientation, or vulnerability. Aftercare is the emotional safety net that allows her to go deep during play. It might include holding her, reassuring her, giving her water or snacks, talking about what just happened. Skipping aftercare is a surefire way to erode trust. A responsible dominant never abandons her when she's at her most emotionally open. Self-reflection, are you ready to lead? Ask yourself, can I handle her emotions without needing to fix or flee? Do I value her experience as much as my own pleasure? Am I comfortable with power that is consensually given, not taken? If you answer no to any of the above, that's not a flaw, it's an invitation to grow. Emotional leadership in BDSM is a skill, not a trait you're born with. But it starts with integrity. The reward of responsible dominance. When a woman feels safe enough to surrender to you emotionally, sexually, and psychologically, you will see a side of her that few ever will. She will become more open, more uninhibited, more emotionally bonded. Dominance, when done responsibly, becomes an act of intimacy, healing, and transcendence, not just kink. The men who master this are not the loudest or most forceful. They are the ones who listen, who guide, who hold space for her deepest desires, without fear. Practical exercise, building dominant presence. Tonight, do this simple practice with your partner. 1. Sit across from her and hold eye contact for 60 seconds. 2. Say nothing. Breathe slowly. Just notice her. 3. Then, reach out and touch her face with calm certainty. 4. Whisper, "You're safe with me." Absolutely. Building dominant presence isn't about pretending to be someone else, it's about cultivating awareness, leadership, and confidence that women feel on an energetic, emotional, and psychological level. Here are several practical, actionable exercises to help you develop dominant presence, starting from internal mindset work to embodied relational leadership. 1. The Command Without Words Drill. Purpose: develop nonverbal authority through presence and intentionality. How to do it? Stand behind her while she's seated. Place your hand gently but firmly on her shoulder or the back of her neck. Say nothing. Hold stillness. Just breathe. After 30 to 60 seconds, guide her silently, maybe by turning her chin to face you or gently guiding her to stand. What to focus on? Your breath, slow, calm, grounded. Your intention, project internal clarity, not uncertainty. Her response, notice subtle shifts in her posture, breath, and eye contact. 2. The 3-second rule of assertive speech. Purpose, eliminate hesitation and lead with confidence. How to do it? When you decide to speak, especially in a sexual, emotional, or tense moment, count silently, 1, 2, 3. Then speak clearly, slowly, and decisively. Why it works? Most men rush or mumble when nervous. Silence plus pacing signals authority. She interprets your calm delivery as certainty, even when the words are simple. 3. The follow my lead game. Purpose, practice leading her body and energy. How to do it? While standing or sitting together, say, follow me. No words. Just feel. Begin small, lift her hand, rotate her wrist, move her to stand or kneel. Don't ask, guide. Use subtle physical cues and eye contact. Challenge yourself. Can you get her to move with only your touch and gaze? Can you read resistance and adjust pressure or pace? For eye contact mastery exercise. Purpose, build psychological tension and command attention. How to do it? Sit in silence across from each other. Maintain soft but direct eye contact for 1 to 2 minutes. Say a phrase like, "You're mine tonight." Stay still. You're going to obey me, aren't you? Key, keep your voice low, even, and slow. Never rush or over-explain. 5. The take-up space ritual. Purpose, cultivate a grounded, dominant body posture. How to do it? Every morning, stand tall, feet shoulder-width apart. Roll your shoulders back and imagine energy rising from the earth into your spine. Hold that posture for 2 minutes. Say internally, I am calm. I am in control. I take up space. Before scenes or intimate moments. Do this again privately. Let your posture lead your mindset, not the other way around. 6. Intentional silence during intimacy. Purpose, teach her to follow your lead without needing constant verbal input. How to do it? During foreplay or a scene, go silent for 30 to 60 seconds. Touch her slowly, hold her gaze, pause mid-action. Let the silence build tension, she will fill in the space emotionally. Then speak one command. Don't move. Breathe for me. Good girl. This contrast between silence and speech creates a dominant rhythm, a psychological pendulum she will begin to crave. 7. Give one clear command a day. Purpose, train your leadership muscle with clarity and consistency. How to do it? Once per day, give your partner a clear, confident instruction. Examples. Oh, you wear nothing under your clothes today. Oh, you're mine tonight. Wait for my signal. Oh, you'll text me when you're in bed. Don't over-explain. Don't ask permission. Observe how she responds when you act with calm certainty. Her pleasure often comes from not needing to decide, you already have. 8. Practice erotic stillness. Purpose, cultivate tension and control in physical interactions. How to do it? During sex or sensual touch, stop entirely for 5 to 10 seconds. Hold her body still, don't let her grind, move, or guide. Whisper, you don't get to move until I say so. Final thoughts on practice. Dominant presence isn't about acting alpha, it's about embodying stillness, awareness, and emotional leadership. Women respond deeply to the man who can. Hold her gaze. Hold her body. Hold her emotions. And never flinch. Chapter 8. Communication, boundaries, and emotional intimacy. In the realm of BDSM, power may be exchanged, but respect, trust, and communication are non-negotiable constants. If you're a man seeking to explore dominance with a woman who desires submission, your most essential tools are not ropes or cuffs, they're your ears, your emotional intelligence, and your ability to read subtext and respond with care. This chapter will show you why emotional safety isn't just ethical, it's erotic. The foundation, trust built through communication. To the outside observer, BDSM can seem dangerous, even abusive. But to those who understand it, BDSM can be the safest kind of intimacy, precisely because of how much is talked about before anything ever happens. Women who are into submission often say things like, "I want to feel out of control, but only because I know he never actually loses control. When I can tell he really sees me and hears me, I can let go. The hottest thing is when he pushes my edge, but checks in with a word or a touch." What they're pointing to is the psychological scaffolding of BDSM play, the invisible structure made up of emotional attunement, respect for boundaries, and ongoing, honest communication. Why boundaries are sexy, not limiting. A lot of men fear that talking about boundaries kills the mood. But in BDSM, clear limits make deep play possible. Boundaries aren't obstacles, they're invitations to explore what's on the table with full confidence. When a woman tells you her limits, she's giving you a map to her trust. Respecting those limits doesn't make you less dominant, it makes you more powerful, because it shows you can handle what she's offering, vulnerability. There are typically 3 kinds of limits. Hard limits, non-negotiables, never to be crossed, e.g., no degradation, no breath play. Soft limits, things she may be curious about but isn't sure, e.g., spanking, restraint. Erotic edges, areas of fear, taboo, or high intensity that are often the most thrilling when explored with trust, e.g., consensual non-consent, humiliation play. Your job is not to push through these walls. It's to walk the corridors she's opened and protect her while she dares to unlock more. The emotional erotic loop, dominance through attunement. True dominance isn't barking orders. It's emotional leadership. It's reading the room, or more accurately, reading her. This includes eye contact that checks in without needing words. Body awareness, noticing tension, breath, subtle withdrawal. Voice control, a steady, grounded tone of command that reassures, not intimidates. Responsiveness, reacting to her signals with precision, not power tripping. When you get this right, something remarkable happens, she feels held. And in that safety, she opens deeper. This is where the hottest parts of BDSM live, in the emotional loop of dominance and submission, not just physical acts. Pre-scene and aftercare conversations, the invisible architecture. In BDSM, what happens before and after a scene is just as important as what happens during. Before a scene. Discuss intentions and mood. Are you craving something soft and sensual, or rough and primal? Review limits and safe words, e.g., the classic traffic light system, red equals stop, yellow equals slow down, green equals all good. Negotiate roles, tone, and power dynamics, e.g., do you want to be called good girl or something filthier? After a scene, aftercare. Provide comfort, affirmation, hydration, and quiet presence. Allow emotional processing, some women cry, laugh, or go quiet, all normal. Talk about what worked, what didn't, what to do next time. Remember, the more intense the scene, the deeper the need for care afterward. Reading between her words, subtext and non-verbal cues. Some women, especially beginners, may not yet know how to fully articulate their desires. That doesn't mean you guess. It means you become attuned. Signs of discomfort or disconnection include hesitation or lack of eye contact, freezing or shutting down, mechanical compliance without arousal. In contrast, signs of trust and arousal include playful resistance with a smile, moaning or heavy breathing, willingness to be vocal and expressive. Your job is to stay present. To ask, not assume. To lead, but not bulldoze. Why emotional intimacy is the real turn-on. Many men seek the thrill of dominance but forget that the deepest submission requires emotional exposure. The more connected she feels to you emotionally, the more daring she becomes sexually. The paradox is this: The more she trusts you with her emotional truth, the further she'll let you take her sexually. That means validate her fantasies, even if they surprise you. Hold space for her shame without flinching. Praise her vulnerability, not just her body. When you become the man who can hold all of her, the wild, the scared, the dark, the soft, you unlock a level of intimacy most men never reach. Final thoughts: lead with listening. Dominance starts with listening. With curiosity. With the humility to ask and the strength to follow through. In BDSM, the real mastery isn't how hard you spank or how dirty you talk. It's how deeply you understand what makes her feel safe enough to surrender. When you honor her boundaries, communicate with emotional fluency, and hold her through intensity, you don't just dominate her body. You lead her mind, her heart, and her desire. And that, more than any kink or toy, is what makes you unforgettable. Chapter 9: Eroticism of Vulnerability. There is a hidden truth in many women's fantasies that remains unspoken in polite society: she wants to let go. Not because she is weak, but because she is strong all the time. She carries the mental load, guards her emotions, and often feels pressure to perform in a world that demands perfection. In BDSM, particularly in the realm of submission, vulnerability is not failure, it is freedom. This chapter explores why vulnerability is not only desired but also deeply erotic for many women. 1. Vulnerability as erotic intensity. Vulnerability is often misinterpreted as fragility. But for many women, emotional and psychological exposure is the gateway to deep arousal. It signals safety, trust, and emotional presence from a man, a rare combination that allows her to let go of control. Erotic vulnerability can take many forms. Being tied up, unable to move. Being watched, emotionally naked. Being commanded, psychologically exposed. Being desired without conditions or expectations. What all these scenarios have in common is this: she is seen, known, and held in her exposed state, without fear. To feel truly desired while I'm vulnerable, that's the kink. Interview excerpt: 29-year-old submissive woman. 2. The role of the dominant, creating the space for surrender. A woman cannot be vulnerable with a man who is careless, selfish, or disconnected. To evoke erotic vulnerability, a man must understand her boundaries. Remain emotionally present. Know the difference between control and cruelty. Guide rather than demand. The dominant's role is not to break her. It's to hold her safely as she breaks through herself, her stress, her defenses, her fear. The more solid and emotionally grounded you are, the more she can surrender into the moment. This is why a man's calm intensity and emotional leadership are so crucial in BDSM. She is not just submitting to your commands. She is trusting you with her emotional skin. 3. Why women crave containment, not control. The word control can mislead many men. What many submissive women desire isn't oppressive control but containment, the feeling that her wildness, emotions, desires, and impulses are held safely within your presence. Containment looks like anticipating her reactions. Staying composed when she tests limits. Maintaining clear, confident direction. Staying connected emotionally during and after the scene. She's testing: will you still hold me if I show this part of me? Your response, non-judgmental, attuned, unshaken, is what turns the emotional key in her lock. 4. Dominance as emotional depth, not performance. Too many men mistake dominance for performance: rough voice, harsh commands, rigid postures. But true dominance, the kind that unlocks female vulnerability, is psychological. What she's turned on by isn't the bark of orders. It's that you see her, guide her, protect her, and penetrate her emotionally. Dominance becomes arousing when you make her feel safe to fall apart. Listen to her with curiosity and control. Are strong enough to handle her shadow sides. Show her she's not too much, even in her darkest, kinkiest desires. She doesn't want to teach you how to lead. She wants you to already know. Not perfectly, but willingly. Because the most erotic dominant is not the one who knows all the techniques, but the one who can anchor her emotions while amplifying her desires. 5. The emotional payoff of vulnerable submission. When a woman reaches full erotic vulnerability, something profound happens. She often cries, not from pain, but release. Her body becomes hypersensitive, melting into touch. Her emotional walls vanish, she may babble, laugh, tremble, or go quiet. She feels utterly held, emotionally and sexually. This is more than kink. This is soul-deep catharsis. It's what makes BDSM powerful and healing for so many women. As her dominant, you are the container for that experience. The guide through the storm. Her arousal isn't just in the act, it's in knowing you can hold her through it. 6. Erotic vulnerability requires aftercare. After emotional exposure, even if it felt amazing, a woman may feel raw, tender, or even confused. This is why aftercare is essential. Aftercare is where you reassure her, you did so beautifully. You hold her physically, a blanket, cuddling, warm words. You process with her if needed, how did that feel? You reinforce the trust, you're safe with me. I'm proud of you. Men who skip aftercare often misunderstand BDSM as a performance rather than an intimate connection. Erotic vulnerability does not end when the scene ends. It lingers. So should your emotional presence. 7. Takeaway for the male reader. If you want to arouse a woman deeply, not just physically but psychologically, learn to create space for her to become vulnerable. This means lead with confidence, not arrogance. Understand that her submission is a gift, not a given. Stay emotionally tuned in during all stages, before, during, after. Trust that her deepest desire is not to be overpowered, but to be held. When she can fall apart in your arms and know you'll still be there, that's the kind of man she'll crave again and again. Chapter 10. Discovering her desires. Understanding and exploring a woman's BDSM desires starts not with ropes or toys, but with presence, curiosity, and emotional safety. Many men fall into the trap of assuming they need to become a caricature of dominance, cold, controlling, and overtly aggressive. But the truth is, the dominant that most women crave is attuned, strong, and emotionally intelligent. Discovering her desires is an act of listening, not just to her words, but to her fears, fantasies, and silences. 1. She might not even know what she desires, yet. Many women have not fully explored their BDSM fantasies, not because they don't have them, but because they've never been given permission. From an early age, women are taught to suppress taboo desires, especially those involving submission, pain, or being taken. For some, even admitting these fantasies to themselves can feel shameful. This means your role is not to interrogate, but to invite. To be the kind of man who can handle her truth, without flinching, judging, or trying to immediately act on it. Tip: women often explore their desires through fiction, dark romance, fantasy, fan fiction, or private fantasies before ever speaking them aloud. Pay attention to what types of stories turn her on. 2. Ask the right questions, the right way. Don't start with, "Are you into BDSM?" That's too blunt and risks closing the door. Instead, start with emotionally open and curious questions like, "Are there things you fantasize about but have never tried? Do you like the idea of letting go or being in control? When you read or watch something erotic, what parts turn you on the most? Do you ever imagine someone taking control in a way that feels safe and exciting?" Your tone should be invitational, not clinical or interrogative. Make it clear she's not being judged, graded, or obligated to perform. The safer she feels, the more honest she will be. Pro tip: ask these questions outside the bedroom, on a walk, during pillow talk, or when the mood is light. Erotic conversation works best when it doesn't feel like a spotlight. 3. Normalize her fantasies. If she shares something with you, especially something vulnerable, like wanting to be dominated, tied up, spanked, or even ravished, your response is everything. A single flinch, awkward laugh, or dismissive comment can shut her down for good. Instead, meet her openness with reassurance and interest. You can say things like, "That's really hot. I'd love to explore that with you. Thanks for trusting me with that." You can tell me anything. I love learning what turns you on. When you treat her fantasies as a gift, not a problem, you become the kind of man she wants to give more to. 4. Understand what submission means to her. Not all women desire the same type of submission. For some, it's about surrendering control. For others, it's being intensely desired. Some crave impact play, like spanking or flogging, while others want psychological submission, obedience, praise, discipline, or even degradation in a consensual and safe way. Rather than assume, ask questions like, what does being submissive feel like to you? Is there a specific feeling you're chasing when you fantasize? Do you like being praised, or do you prefer being put in your place, or both? These questions help you understand the emotional core of her desire, not just the surface act. 5. Don't rush it, build erotic trust. Discovering her BDSM desires isn't a one-time conversation. It's an ongoing unfolding. Each time she feels safe with you, she'll reveal a little more. Your job is to create an environment where her inner erotic self can come out of hiding. This requires patience, don't push faster than she's ready. Consistency, keep showing up as emotionally grounded. Follow through, if she shares a fantasy, don't weaponize it later. You don't need to get everything right immediately. You just need to make her feel like she can get it wrong with you, and still be deeply wanted. 6. Create low-pressure opportunities to explore. Once you've had open conversations, offer experiences that allow for exploration without pressure. Try saying, would you want to try a little power play next time? I can guide you. If I gave you a command or restriction for the evening, how would that feel? Want to do a soft scene where we explore a bit of dominance, just to see what we like? Focus on exploration rather than performance. Let it be playful, imperfect, and curiosity-driven. 7. Honor her no as much as her yes. A woman will only go deeper into her desires with a man who honors her boundaries. If she says no, or I'm not sure about that, do not argue or try to persuade. Simply say, thanks for being honest. That matters more to me than anything. No rush, if you ever want to revisit it, I'm here. What would feel good for you right now? Her sense of safety with you is what will unlock more erotic depth over time, not your ability to talk her into anything. Conclusion: curiosity is the gateway to intimacy. When you approach a woman's BDSM desires with curiosity instead of control, empathy instead of ego, you become the kind of man she can fully surrender to. Not because you forced her, but because you understood her better than anyone ever has. Desire, especially for women, is not linear. It blooms in the presence of safety, freedom, and boldness. If you create that space, she won't just share her fantasies, she'll invite you into them. And that's when the real adventure begins. Chapter 11: Initiating BDSM Play with Confidence. It's not about overpowering her. It's about giving her permission to let go, and trusting you to hold her in that space. 1. The power of intentionality. BDSM is not about acting tough or barking orders. It begins with intentionality. For a woman to surrender, she needs to feel your presence, emotionally, mentally, sexually. Dominance is not brute force, it's the projection of certainty, control, and care. Confidence isn't about knowing everything. It's about being grounded, focused, and aware. When you initiate BDSM play, you're not just starting a sexual activity, you're opening a psychological and emotional journey that requires leadership, attentiveness, and integrity. What she's looking for: a man who takes initiative with clarity and care. Someone who can hold intensity without panic or retreat. A partner who communicates you're safe. I've got this. 2. Building erotic tension, the art of the slow burn. Women are turned on by anticipation far more than immediate gratification. The mental build-up is the playground of female arousal. Tease her mind before you ever touch her body. Psychological foreplay techniques. Whisper commands softly into her ear, keep your hands by your side. Good girl. Make eye contact and hold it just a little longer than normal. Set rules early in the day: tonight, you don't speak unless I say your name. Text her in advance to build anticipation. When you get home, you're mine. Use your voice, presence, and patience as instruments of psychological stimulation. 3. Structuring a scene: before, during, after. Before, the pre-scene connection. Check in: is there anything you want to explore or avoid tonight? Set the tone: light a candle, dim the lights, use music, ritual matters. Assert intention: tonight I want to push you a little further. I'll take care of you. The pre-scene is the emotional runway. She needs to feel your attention before she can fly. During, embodying the dominant role. Be decisive in your commands: kneel. Now. Watch her cues: breathing, body language, verbal tone. Use a balance of discipline and praise. Oh, you take this so well. Oh, such a good girl for obeying me. Small rituals create psychological anchors, pulling her deeper into the experience. Aftercare is not optional. After a scene, her nervous system is vulnerable. She might feel high, raw, exposed, or even teary. This is normal. Aftercare is your opportunity to show that your dominance includes responsibility. Examples: hold her. Wrap her in a blanket. Offer water, massage, soft words. Ask, how do you feel? Anything you want to share. This care cements trust and makes her want to surrender to you again. 4. Dominant presence: how to deepen her submission. Presence is everything. A man who's physically there but mentally distant cannot dominate well. To deepen her submission, practice these mindsets. Stillness: don't rush. Breathe slowly. Let her feel the weight of your attention. Control, not just of her, but of yourself. Your own restraint is arousing. Containment: hold her emotions, responses, and energy without flinching. Submission isn't something you demand. It's something you inspire through consistency and presence. She submits because she wants to, not because she has to. 5. Common mistakes to avoid. Skipping communication: don't assume her fantasies are obvious or match porn. Being performative: dominance is about her experience, not your ego. Neglecting aftercare: skipping this can lead to emotional drop and lost trust. Trying too much, too fast: start slow. Master the psychology, not the props. Confidence comes from practice, listening, and learning, not pretending to be a fantasy dom. Ask, adjust, and evolve. 6. Sample script: the simple first BDSM scene. This is a basic psychological dominance script for a beginner D-less moment. You: from this moment on, I want you to follow my voice. I'm in charge. Do you understand? Her: yes. You: good girl. You'll sit on the edge of the bed, hands in your lap. Eyes down. You don't move unless I say so. Understood? Her: yes. You: walk slowly around her. Whisper: tonight, you're mine. And I take care of what's mine. This works not because of the script itself, but because of the energy behind it, your attention, your intention, your emotional hold on the moment. 7. From sexual confidence to emotional leadership. The truth is, most women don't just want a man who dominates in bed. They want a man who understands her mind, earns her trust, and knows how to lead her into deeper intimacy. When you initiate BDSM play with presence, clarity, and emotional intelligence, you become far more than a sexual partner. You become the kind of man she feels safe enough to be truly wild with. Chapter 12: Case Studies and Real Conversations. Lessons from women on their BDSM desires. It wasn't the rope or the spanking that turned me on. It was that he saw all of me and still wanted to claim me. Isabella, 32. Understanding a woman's BDSM desires isn't about decoding a hidden algorithm. It's about listening deeply, respectfully, and without ego. In this chapter, we step away from theory and into the lived, intimate realities of women who crave dominance, submission, or other forms of BDSM play. Each story reflects unique personalities, backgrounds, and psychological patterns, but with common emotional threads. Let's explore what real women have said about their desires, what made them feel safe enough to explore them, and what men can learn from both the successes and the mistakes of others. Case Study 1, I Needed to Let Go. Name, Claire, 36. Profession, lawyer. Prefer dynamic, submissive in the bedroom, dominant in life. Claire spent her days making decisions, managing a team, and controlling outcomes. By night, she fantasized about being completely overpowered. I didn't want someone to hurt me, I wanted someone to take the weight off me. I wanted to be told, you don't have to think right now. Just feel. That's what domination felt like to me. Relief. What worked? Her partner didn't rush. He asked curious, open-ended questions. He paid attention to her body language more than her words. He created structure, rituals, and aftercare, so the experience felt emotionally safe and not just sexually intense. What men can learn. Domination isn't about imposing control, it's about creating release. Many women with leadership roles may crave surrender as an emotional counterbalance. But trust must be earned, not assumed. Case Study 2, he wanted to play. I needed to be known. Name, Rena, 28. Profession, graphic designer. Prefer dynamic, submissive masochist. Rena met a man on a kink-friendly dating app who seemed confident and dominant. Their first scene was intense, but left her feeling emotionally hollow. He was checking off a fantasy list. It was technically fine. But I felt like a pawn prop, not a person. There was no connection. He didn't ask what anything meant to me. What went wrong? He followed the BDSM script, impact play, commands, bondage, but didn't attune to her emotions. He skipped the emotional dialogue, why she wanted pain. What it symbolized. How she needed to be held afterward. What men can learn. BDSM without empathy is empty. Every physical act carries emotional meaning for her. Ask not just what she wants, but what that desire represents to her. Case Study 3, he was gentle until he wasn't. Name, Melissa, 40. Profession, nurse. Prefer dynamic, switch. Melissa had prior experience in kink, but her new partner was new to BDSM. He was hesitant at first, overly cautious, and afraid to go too far. Then something changed. He found his voice. One night, he looked me dead in the eye and said, "Get on your knees. Now." I melted. It was him. Not a role, just a part of him. He finally gave permission to come out. What worked? He stopped imitating what he thought dominant should look like, and started feeling into his own natural style. It was firm, calm, focused, not performative. Once he trusted his instincts, she could trust him. What men can learn. Authenticity beats performance. You don't need to act dominant, you need to embody leadership, presence, and emotional clarity. Women can sense the difference instantly. Case Study 4, I wanted to feel wanted. Name, Jasmine, 34. Profession, stay-at-home mother. Preferred dynamic, slave or submissive. After years of what she called functional sex, Jasmine began fantasizing about being used, totally, ruthlessly, lovingly. Not degraded, but claimed. Motherhood made me invisible. BDSM made me feel radiant, erotic, alive. When my husband finally whispered, "You're mine," I cried. It wasn't dirty. It was sacred. What worked? Her husband overcame shame and embarrassment. He started slow, light commands, dirty talk, extended foreplay. They co-created meaning in the dynamic. He didn't just take control, he learned to hold her emotionally. What men can learn. For many women, submission is a path to feeling deeply wanted. The language of dominance, when rooted in love, respect, and raw desire, can awaken parts of her that everyday life has numbed. Patterns to notice. Across these stories, a few consistent themes emerge. Trust enables surrender. Women can only submit when they feel safe, psychologically, emotionally, and physically. Desire is layered. BDSM is rarely just sex. It's often tied to identity, healing, and expression. Emotional dominance is key. Confidence, grounded presence, and communication build arousal faster than rope or spanking. Fantasy and reality must be bridged gently. Just because a woman fantasizes about being taken doesn't mean she wants that done without care, planning, and explicit consent. How to have these conversations yourself. 1. Be curious, not clinical. Ask. Oh, what's a fantasy you've never told anyone? Oh, what would it feel like to fully let go with someone? Oh, do you want to be overwhelmed, or to be held while overwhelmed? 2. Share first. Vulnerability invites vulnerability. If you share a part of your erotic imagination first, she's more likely to feel safe doing the same. 3. Hold space without judgment. Even if you don't understand a fantasy, validate the courage it took for her to share it. 4. Check in often. During and after play, ask. Oh, how did that feel emotionally? Oh, did anything surprise you? Oh, what would make you feel even safer next time? Final thought, be the mirror and the container. When a woman trusts you with her BDSM desires, she is revealing more than sexual preference. She's offering you a glimpse into her inner emotional world. The question is not just can you dominate her, but can you hold her through what dominance awakens? True dominance is the art of leading her into herself, while never letting her fall. Chapter 11, Phrases to use as a dominant. The art of erotic authority through words. Introduction, language as a tool of erotic leadership. Dominance isn't just about what you do, it's about what you say, how you say it, and when. For many submissive women, BDSM is largely psychological. The most arousing experiences are born not just from physical restraint or spanking, but from the feeling of being under control, emotionally and mentally. That feeling is communicated through language. A single word from a grounded, confident dominant can stop her breath. A whispered phrase can melt her resistance. A command given with certainty and care can unlock trust that she didn't even know she was holding back. In this chapter, you'll learn how to use language to deepen trust, increase arousal, and guide a submissive woman through psychological surrender. This isn't a list of cliches, it's a manual for presence and verbal authority, tailored for men who want to dominate with depth, not just dominance. Section 1, The Psychology Behind Dominant Language. Before we dive into the phrases themselves, it's essential to understand why certain words work. 8 words shape reality in the submissive mind. For a submissive woman, verbal dominance can create structure and containment. Amplify arousal by reinforcing roles. Provide safety through predictability and control. Heighten the emotional intensity of the scene. A women respond to emotional cues. Most submissive women are turned on not by cruelty, but by confidence. Not by volume, but by calm, grounded clarity. Tone, eye contact, timing, and emotional connection are what give a phrase power. Think less drill sergeant, more calm authority. Like a lion that doesn't need to roar to be feared or trusted. Section 2, Building Safety and Anticipation, the first layer of words. Before any command, the submissive must feel that you are present, composed, and in control of the emotional space. These phrases help establish that foundation. Key phrases, emotional grounding. I'm here. I'm watching everything. Implies attention, care, and protection. You're safe with me. Reinforces trust. Especially important for newer partners. There's no pressure. You can stop at any time. Gives her permission to surrender, knowing you respect her autonomy. I won't go too far. I'll read you. Shows emotional intelligence and responsibility. Especially effective when she's on the edge of a new experience. Section 2, Giving Command, Words that Take Control. How to lead with confidence, precision, and erotic intent. Dominance begins where hesitation ends. In a BDSM dynamic, especially one where the woman identifies as submissive, commands are more than just instructions. They are the verbal architecture of the scene. They shape the emotional space, reinforce your leadership, and invite her into a psychological state of surrender. But not all commands are created equal. Some commands assert physical control, others create psychological structure. The most powerful ones evoke an emotional reaction, obedience, anticipation, trust, even arousal. Used correctly, a command isn't just telling her what to do, it's showing her that you know what you want, and that she can trust you to lead. This section teaches you not just what to say, but how, why, and when, so your commands don't feel performative, but natural, authoritative, and deeply erotic. 2.1 The psychology of erotic command. Let's begin with why verbal commands are so effective with many submissive women. 1. Structure creates surrender. A command removes the burden of decision-making. It allows her to stop thinking and start feeling. When you take control clearly, you offer her the freedom to let go. 2. Certainty is arousing. A confident man who knows exactly what he wants is sexually magnetic. Words spoken without hesitation give her a reason to trust your lead. 3. Commands focus her attention. BDSM is about intensifying sensation and presence. A single command like hold still makes her hyper-aware of her own body and of you. 4. Commands create ritual. Over time, repeated commands create ritual and emotional association. She may get wet simply hearing you say, on your knees, because it's become psychologically anchored to submission and arousal. 2.2 The tone of authority. Before you ever issue a command, understand this: delivery matters more than vocabulary. Your tone should be calm, never rushed or frantic. Grounded, speak from your chest, not your throat. Certain, even if she tests your control, don't waver. Measured, slow down. Pauses create power. Emotionally present, speak to her, not at her. A whisper delivered with calm confidence will always be more dominant than shouting laced with insecurity. 2.3 Foundational command phrases. Let's now look at specific types of commands, with detailed explanations for when, why, and how to use them. A. Positional commands, shifting physical power. These commands change her posture or positioning, often subtly reinforcing your physical control. Kneel. Use at the beginning of a scene or ritual. It triggers immediate submission. You can expand it. Kneel. Face me. Hands on your thighs. Eyes down. On the bed. Now. Simple. Decisive. You control not just what happens, but where. Hands behind your back. Increases vulnerability. Can be paired with teasing or restraint. Spread your legs. Wider. Exposes her body and mind to you. Increases psychological surrender. Turn around and present yourself. Shifts her into object display posture, arousing for both of you. Tip: use silence after the command. Let the tension build as she obeys. B. Behavior-based commands, directing action. These control what she does, focusing her mind on obedience and performance. Strip. Slowly. Not just undressing, performing obedience. Say this without rushing. Hold still. Directs control over her body. Even more effective when she's highly aroused or on the edge. Don't touch yourself. Prevents gratification. Builds anticipation and reinforces your control over her pleasure. Show me how much you want it. Challenges her to express desire in a submissive way, words, posture, eye contact. Keep your hands exactly where they are. Combining permission and limitation creates a highly erotic psychological bind. See speech and silence commands, verbal obedience. Controlling when and how she speaks is an incredibly intimate and effective tool. You speak when I allow it. Asserts control over her voice. Deepens the power dynamic. Use your words. Tell me what you need. Forces her to be emotionally or erotically vulnerable. Say it louder. Encourages her to own her desire. Stay silent, even when you want to beg. Creates erotic pressure and control through denial. Advanced play, ask her to repeat a phrase of yours. This is linguistic submission. E.g., say, I belong to you. D. Ritual and ownership phrases, repetition builds identity. These phrases reinforce the submissive's identity over time, especially in established DTS relationships. Who do you belong to? A rhetorical command. She answers with, you. Build psychological ownership. Tell me your purpose right now. Help center her in the submissive headspace. Prove to me you remember your place. A command to demonstrate submission. You're mine. Now show me. Connects possession to action, deepening emotional connection. 2 point for how to practice giving command. Dominance is a skill. Like any other, it improves with practice. Try this exercise. 1. Choose 2 to 3 basic commands, e.g., kneel, take off your shirt, look at me. 2. Practice saying them slowly, confidently, with eye contact. 3. Record yourself, or say them in the mirror. 4. Watch how your tone and pace affect the intensity. Many men fear sounding unnatural. But if your commands are authentic, rooted in care and clarity, they won't be awkward. They'll be electrifying. 2.5 Handling resistance or brat play. Some submissives want to test your authority. This is often playful, not defiant. If she doesn't obey, did you not hear me? Said with amused sternness. If she teases or resists, you really want me to make you earn it, don't you? If she says no playfully, in a pre-negotiated, consensual way, I didn't ask. I told you. Note, always respect safe words and clearly communicated boundaries. Section 3, Giving command, words that take control. A command is more than an instruction. It's an invitation to submit. It's a verbal act that shifts the energy from casual to charged, from equals to a deliberate power exchange. When given well, a command does 3 things at once. 1. Directs her behavior with clarity and purpose. 2. Triggers her submissive mindset by establishing your authority. 3. Anchors her in the moment through tone, timing, and presence. If you want your commands to feel irresistible, you must understand how and when to deliver them. The psychology of a command. Submissive women, especially those who seek out BDSM dynamics, often crave the relief of being led. A command takes away decision fatigue, removes ambiguity, and gives her permission to focus on obedience and sensation. However, commands only work when they are clear, no vague half-statements. They are confident, hesitation kills erotic authority. They are consistent, you maintain your role throughout the scene. Remember, the more trust you've established beforehand, the more potent your commands will be. The core principles of effective commands. 1. Clarity, say exactly what you want, in simple terms. No rambling. Oh, instead of, could you maybe kneel for me now? Use, kneel. 2. Tone, speak slower and lower than your normal voice. Calm dominance is more compelling than shouting. Oh, think, measured, grounded, deliberate. 3. Timing, deliver commands when the energy is already charged. Use silence first to draw her attention, then speak. 4. Body language, your words are supported by your stance, stillness, and eye contact. Stand tall, take up space, and keep movements intentional. Examples of foundational commands. These are short, simple commands that instantly set a submissive frame. Kneel. Single word, immediate shift in posture and energy. Works well as a scene opener. Look at me. Brings her attention under your control. Creates psychological intimacy. Hands behind your back. Restricts movement without touching her, your voice alone binds her. Open your mouth. Creates vulnerability and anticipation in a single moment. Stay still. Forces focus and heightened sensitivity to touch. Commands that build anticipation. Commands don't always have to be about instant obedience. Some are about delaying gratification and building tension. Wait. Forces her to hold herself in suspense, deepening the craving for your next move. Keep your eyes closed. Increases vulnerability and sensory awareness. Don't move until I tell you. Heightens psychological restraint. Hold that position. Implies that she's being evaluated or admired, which can be deeply arousing. Commands that combine direction and objectification. These commands blend control with erotic framing, making her aware of her role in the scene. Show me your body. Positions her as the object of your attention. Present yourself. Classic D-test phrase that implies she knows the ritual or posture you want. Stay on display for me. Taps into exhibitionism and the thrill of being watched. Hold yourself open. Erotic vulnerability through self-exposure. Scenario application, how to deliver a command. Let's walk through an example. Context, she's standing in front of you, waiting for what's next. Weak delivery. You are nervous, fast voice. Could you kneel, please? Result, she hears uncertainty, the energy drops, and the command feels optional. Dominant delivery. You, slow, low voice, steady-gazed kneel. Result, she feels the authority, the tension rises, and the action becomes a shared erotic ritual. Common command mistakes. Overtalking, giving long explanations kills the potency. Overcompensating, shouting or acting aggressively when you're not feeling calm confidence. Unclear intention, if you sound unsure about what you want, she won't feel led. Inconsistency, switching between dominant and casual modes without purpose. Expanding your vocabulary over time. Start simple, master the basics, then add layered commands that suit your dynamic. For example, beginner, kneel. Intermediate, kneel and keep your eyes on the floor. Advanced, kneel. Hands behind your back. Don't speak until I touch your chin. This progression builds precision in your language and deepens the submissive frame. Final reminder, lead like a gentleman, command like a king. When you give a command as a dominant, you're doing more than controlling the moment. You're shaping her internal world. The way you speak teaches her how to feel safe, desired, owned, and guided. This isn't about barking orders. It's about speaking into her desire and becoming the man she craves to obey, and not out of fear, but because you've earned her trust. So the next time you say, kneel, don't just say it like a demand. Say it like a door you're opening, for her to walk into the version of herself that only you know how to unlock. When to use these? Before play or during checkings. When she's nervous, uncertain, or new to BDSM. After intense scenes to help ground her. Section 3, Giving command, words that take control. Now that trust is established, you can lead with language. Clear, firm direction activates her submissive mindset and heightens arousal through obedience. Key phrases, commands. Kneel. Direct. No explanation. Creates immediate power shift. Look at me / don't look at me yet. Eye contact is intimate and vulnerable. Controlling it is deeply erotic. Take off your clothes, slowly. Combines instruction with pacing, increasing tension. Put your hands on the wall. Spread your legs. Physical positioning commands that increase vulnerability. You'll stay there until I tell you otherwise. Asserts time-based control, reinforcing your authority. You obey me now. Declaration of the dynamic, works well during roleplay or escalating tension. Pro tips. Always deliver commands with certainty, not hesitation. Speak slowly. Rushed words kill the mood. Slow equals power. Use body language to reinforce your words, eye contact, posture, stillness. Section 4, Affirmation and Psychological Reinforcement. Commands dominate, praise secures. Verbal affirmation reinforces her behavior, builds her self-image as a submissive, and increases her desire to please you. Key phrases, affirmation. Good girl. A classic. Loaded with emotional weight. Use after obedience or endurance. You're doing so well for me. Encouragement, especially during challenging scenes. I love watching you obey. Makes her feel seen in her role. That's my girl. Combines praise with possession. You take my control so beautifully. Validates her submission as strength. I'm proud of you. Underused but powerful. Builds confidence and trust. When to use these? During extended play or after she completes a task. After emotional or physical effort. As a tool for deepening emotional bonding during or after scenes. Certainly. Here's an expanded and more in-depth version of Section 4, Affirmation and Psychological Reinforcement from the chapter Phrases to Use as a Dominant. Section 4, Affirmation and Psychological Reinforcement. How praise deepens surrender, trust, and erotic devotion. Dominance without affirmation is empty. If you command without reinforcing, you're not leading, you're managing. A skilled dominant understands that reinforcement is the emotional glue of submission. The moment a woman chooses to surrender to you, she's giving you access not just to her body, but to her mind, her shame, her pride, her vulnerabilities. That kind of exposure craves acknowledgement. Affirmation is not weakness. It's reinforcement. It strengthens the dynamic. When you praise her for what she gives you, you validate her submission as valuable, worthy, and desired. You also build her internal identity as your submissive, reinforcing the emotional architecture of the dominant-submissive, DES, connection. Why affirmation works? It anchors positive feedback loops. She wants to please you more. It creates emotional safety. She knows you notice and appreciate her effort. It reframes submission as strength, not passivity. It deepens trust and devotion. You see her, not just what she does for you. Small blue diamond A are foundational praise, validating her role. These phrases reinforce her submission as an identity, not just a behavior. They're powerful when used consistently over time, especially when she's giving herself over in deeper ways. Examples. You're my good girl. Perhaps the most iconic phrase in DES dynamics. It combines praise, approval, and ownership. Many submissives crave it. Use it only when earned, and it becomes addictive. That's exactly what I wanted. Signals that she has understood and fulfilled your will. This is psychologically satisfying to a submissive. You make me proud when you listen so well. Emotional reward reinforces obedience and attentiveness. You belong to me, and you're doing beautifully in your place. Gives her a secure identity in the dynamic. When to use? After a task is completed. When she shows initiative or obedience. During scenes to reinforce her headspace. Small blue diamond B real-time encouragement, guiding her through the moment. In the midst of a scene, things can get intense. Pain, pleasure, restraint, or psychological play may bring up vulnerability, uncertainty, or hesitation. Your praise becomes the rope she holds onto, the reassurance that she's not only doing well, but giving you exactly what you want. Examples. That's it. Just like that. Encouragement paired with presence. Keeps her focused and reassures her she's on the right path. You're doing so well for me. I'm proud of how you're taking this. Encourages her endurance, affirms her capacity to handle the scene. Give it to me. You can take it. Power plus encouragement equals potent reinforcement. Feel everything. I want it all from you. Encourages full emotional openness and surrender. When to use? During impact play, edging, resistance play, or emotional catharsis. When she's struggling but still trusting you. When she's starting to drop into subspace. Small blue diamond C, a deep affirmation, strengthening the emotional bond. Not all praise is sexual. Some of the most powerful affirmations are those that recognize the depth of emotional trust your submissive gives you. These are for the moments where she is fully open, raw, vulnerable, maybe even crying or processing emotional release. This is where you remind her of her strength, not just her service. Examples. You're stronger than you think. I see all of you, and I'm still here. one of the most healing things a woman can hear in submission. Your surrender is the most beautiful gift you could give me. Positions her vulnerability as sacred, not shameful. What you gave me tonight means everything. Acknowledges the emotional labor and courage of submission. You didn't just take what I gave, you chose it. And that's power. Reframe submission as strength and agency. When to use. After scenes that touch on emotional edges. During aftercare, when she's soft or introspective. When she's disclosed fears, insecurities, or trauma-related triggers. Small blue diamond de-integrating praise outside of scenes. Praise should not be confined to the bedroom or dungeon. When integrated into daily life, it cements the dynamic and keeps erotic energy flowing. It reminds her that her submission is ongoing, not just a role play. Examples. I love how you waited for me to make the decision. That pleased me. Reinforces obedience and patience. You handled that situation with such grace. That's the kind of submissive I'm proud to lead. Combines emotional maturity and dominance. You made me feel respected and trusted today. Thank you. Speaks to the emotional labor she does to support the dynamic. Every time you serve me, it makes me want to protect and claim you even more. Links service to deepening masculine protection and desire. Small blue diamond pro tips for effective praise. 1. Be specific. Generic praise feels empty. Instead of just saying good girl, say good girl for keeping your eyes down just like I asked. Specificity makes the praise meaningful. 2. Don't overuse key phrases. If good girl is said every 5 minutes, it loses its impact. Reserve it for moments that feel earned. 3. Match tone to context. Praise during a scene should be delivered with a calm, controlled voice. Aftercare praise may be softer, gentler. 4. Mean it. Every time. Submissive women can feel the difference between real affirmation and performative flattery. Be intentional. 5. Don't be afraid to mix praise and control. For example, you pleased me well, now stay exactly where I left you. This keeps the submissive in the psychological container you've created. Final note, praise is power. A submissive craves more than just being used, she craves being recognized, especially when she gives from a place of trust and vulnerability. Praise, when used authentically and strategically, deepens the dynamic, strengthens emotional bonds, and makes her want to surrender even more fully. The more seen, safe, and respected she feels, the more power she will give you. And that is the quiet, brilliant secret of true dominance. It's not just about control. It's about the space you create for her to lose it, for you. Section 5. Teasing, edging, and erotic mind games. Dominance isn't always about intensity. Often, it's about restraint, withholding pleasure, information, or control in ways that drive her wild. Key phrases: erotic control. Not yet / you'll wait until I say. Delayed gratification increases psychological arousal. Do you want it? Then beg. Forces her to own her desire and deepen submission. I want to see how desperate you'll get. Teasing mixed with psychological challenge. You don't get to touch me, only I decide that. Reverses control and creates longing. You exist for my pleasure right now. Intense objectification, used with trust and care. I haven't decided if you've earned your release yet. Brings erotic uncertainty and power play. Tips for mind games. Use these phrases during build-up, before orgasm, during teasing, or while she's restrained. Always mix denial with emotional anchoring. I'm watching you. I see what you need. Section 5. Teasing, edging, and erotic mind games. Using words to build anticipation, frustration, and longing. Dominance is not only about what you allow. It's also about what you deny. In this section, we go beyond direct commands and into the more refined art of psychological arousal, through teasing, edging, and verbal games that play with power and expectation. The most skilled dominants don't rush toward pleasure, they stretch out desire like a wire under tension. They understand that the space between stimulus and satisfaction is where the deepest arousal lives. That's where words become weapons, tools that stimulate, frustrate, and seduce the mind long before the body. This section is your guide to verbal edging, how to talk to a submissive woman in ways that build erotic suspense, challenge her obedience, and turn surrender into a slow, delicious unraveling. 5.1 The Psychology of Erotic Denial. Before we jump into phrases, understand why these games are so potent. A desire is exponential when denied. Every moment you delay gratification adds value to it. You are training her to associate your permission with her release. The longer she waits, the more she wants, and the more powerful your control becomes. B. Uncertainty is exciting. A submissive woman craves structure, but when you insert just enough unpredictability, you create erotic suspense. You keep her mentally engaged, curious, off balance, and totally focused on you. Seed control is mental foreplay. Teasing phrases keep her aroused without touching her. They create arousal loops, thought frustration deeper arousal surrender. The more she has to wait, the more she needs you. The more she needs you, the deeper she submits. 5.2 Core Categories of Erotic Teasing Phrases. Let's break this into 5 types of phrases, each serving a different function in the mind game of dominance. A. Denial of permission, you control her release. These phrases make it clear, she doesn't get to come unless you allow it. This not only reinforces your control over her body, but creates intense internal conflict, because her body may be screaming yes, while your words say not yet. You don't come until I say. A simple foundational rule. Repeat it early in the scene. Hold it. You know better than to come without permission. Assertive and teasing shows your control even in her most intense moment. If you come without my permission, I'll make you regret it, in the best way. Gentle threat and flirtatious sadism. Heightens the stakes. No. Not yet. I like watching you beg for it. Psychological pull between obedience and craving. You'll stay on the edge until I decide you've earned more. Powerful when you've teased her repeatedly. Pro tip, make her repeat the rule. Say it, I don't come unless you tell me to. B. Begging and verbal humility, making her ask. Teasing her into begging isn't about humiliation, it's about making her own her desire and hand over her pride. When she begs, she becomes emotionally naked. If you want it, you'll ask nicely. Gentle but firm, expect respect, even in lust. Beg for it. Show me how badly you need me. You're testing how much she's willing to give. Tell me what you want. In detail. Forces her into emotional and erotic vulnerability. I want to hear you say how desperate you are. This breaks down walls. Used well, it can be deeply cathartic. I'll consider it if you earn it. Playful. Keeps her on edge. Optional variation. You want to come? Good girl. Then say it, please, sir, let me come. See, psychological edging, stretching the tension. These phrases are designed to create prolonged arousal and mental saturation. You're right there, aren't you? But you're not allowed to fall. Arousal language that forces stillness and obedience. I want you shaking. I want you incoherent. But not satisfied. Sensual cruelty. It shows you enjoy her being right on the edge. Don't touch yourself. Just feel it build. Exquisite torture. Denies action while inflaming need. You think you're ready? That's adorable. Undermines her confidence in the best way. All that begging, and I still haven't even touched you. Emphasizes your control over her body and mind. D. Reversal of power, you have it, she wants it. Teasing becomes even more powerful when you remind her of the imbalance of control. These phrases reinforce her need for your authority and permission. You don't get to decide. I do. Simple, firm. It reasserts dominance. Your body belongs to me right now. Total possession language can be deeply erotic. You want me to touch you? Too bad. Watch instead. Visual denial builds craving and frustration. You exist for my pleasure tonight, not yours. Darker edge. Only use when there's strong trust and consent. You'll stay desperate until I say you're done. Pacing her pleasure, mentally and physically. A denial plus reward, using hope as a hook. Teasing isn't just about withholding, it's about dangling hope, then pulling it away or giving just enough to make her ache for more. Maybe I'll let you come later. If you're good. Opens the door, but puts the outcome in your hands. Keep obeying, and you might earn it. Puts obedience in direct relationship with reward. I'm enjoying your desperation. Maybe I'll make it worse. Hinting that things might escalate increases psychological submission. Let's see how long I can keep you like this. Extends the scene in her mind, creating anticipatory tension. I'll reward you when you've pleased me enough. Connects service to reward, reinforces the power exchange. 5.3 When to use these phrases. During foreplay to increase tension. When she's restrained and craving stimulation. While she's blindfolded or denied touch, to heighten sensory vulnerability. Right before orgasm, to pull her back and exert control. When establishing rules for orgasm denial or edging over days or scenes. 5. For tone and delivery tips. Slow your speech. Fast talk kills dominance. Measured speech equals authority. Use pauses. Example, you want to come. I didn't say you could. Lower your voice slightly. Deep tones create tension and calm. Use silence strategically. The longer the pause after a tease, the more it burns. Make eye contact. It magnifies everything you say. 5.5 Optional tools to amplify teasing. Blindfolds, denying vision heightens anticipation. Vibrators on low power, continuous stimulation plus verbal denial equals mental overload. Mirrors, make her watch herself be teased or restrained. Voice notes or texts, send teasing messages during the day to create long-term arousal cycles. Example. Don't touch yourself today. I want you aching when I get home. Final note, the gift of unfulfilled desire. Teasing and edging are forms of sacred sadism, not about cruelty, but about heightening experience. The submissive woman who trusts you enough to let you play with her desire is handing you something vulnerable and precious, her hunger. The question is not just, can you make her come? The deeper question is, can you make her want it so badly, she forgets anything else? With the right words, you can. Section 6, Holding emotional space during intensity. When scenes become intense, whether physically or emotionally, your words are the anchor. They can help her go deeper or reassure her she is still safe. Key phrases, containment. Take it from me. I know you can. Encouragement in the face of challenge. Breathe. I've got you. Centers her during stress or pain. I'm still here. You're not alone. Vital during emotional release or catharsis. You're doing exactly what I want. Reaffirms her purpose and your control. You're mine. Possessive language, when earned, is deeply arousing and anchoring. Section 6, Holding emotional space during intensity. The role of the dominant as emotional anchor, protector, and guide. BDSM at its deepest levels is not about performance, it's about emotional truth. Intensity in a BDSM scene can bring a submissive woman to places she rarely gets to go in daily life, raw vulnerability, emotional exposure, even catharsis. These are not signs of weakness, they are signs of trust. And the person she is trusting to lead her through this intensity is you. This is where your words matter more than ever. Physical dominance gets attention, but verbal dominance is what holds her together when she's falling apart, in the best possible way. Let's explore what intensity means, how to recognize it, and how to use language to hold emotional space like a truly responsible and emotionally intelligent dominant. 6.1 What is intensity in a BDSM context? Intensity is a psychological and physiological peak. It can be triggered by physical sensations, pain, orgasm, restraint. Emotional exposure, vulnerability, humiliation, praise. Psychological edge play, control, degradation, fear within consent. Sensory overload or deprivation. A woman experiencing intensity may cry, shake, laugh or giggle uncontrollably, go nonverbal, struggle with eye contact, disassociate slightly, breathe rapidly or hold her breath. This is not a sign to panic. It's a sign to lead. 6.2 Your role as the emotional anchor. As the dominant, you must become two things at once. 1. The force that pushes her into new territory. 2. The ground that catches her when she falls. This duality is what separates reckless dominance from responsible mastery. To lead a woman through intensity, you must stay present, calm, and emotionally attuned. Your energy must say, I am here. I am not afraid of what you feel. I can hold it all. 6.3 Verbal anchoring, what to say when she's on the edge. When a submissive is approaching or deep in an intense moment, use your words to guide her back to presence, affirm her, and remind her you're in control. Key phrases to use. When she's overwhelmed or shaking. Breathe. In and out. Stay with me. Use your tone like a tether. Say it slowly and rhythmically. You're doing so well. I'm here. You're safe. Reassures her that she's held, not judged or alone. Look at me. That's it. Stay in your body. Eye contact is grounding. Use it to anchor her. Let go. I've got you now. Encourages surrender with safety. You don't need to hold anything back. Invites emotional release. Crying is often a sign of deep surrender. During high sensation, impact play, orgasm control, restraint. Take it from me. That's my girl. Ties her endurance to your approval. Very powerful psychologically. Feel everything I'm giving you. Encourages presence instead of dissociation. Stay right here. In this moment. With me. Helps her stay grounded instead of floating away. You're mine. You don't have to think. Just feel. Grants permission for full body surrender. When she's non-verbal or emotionally exposed. Don't speak. Just let it happen. Removes pressure to perform or explain. I see you. All of you. Reinforces emotional intimacy. Makes her feel accepted, not judged. You're allowed to feel everything. I can take it. One of the most powerful things a man can say during an emotional breakthrough. 6 Point for how to recognize subspace and subdrop. Subspace. This is a trance-like state some submissives enter during play. Signs include glossy eyes, slow speech or silence, floating sensation, reduced pain sensitivity, delayed responses. What to say in subspace? You're okay. Just float. I'm watching over you. Don't rush anything. I've got you. You're beautiful like this. Completely open. Subdrop. This happens hours or days later, after intense scenes. Symptoms. Mood swings. Anxiety. Sadness or emotional vulnerability. Fatigue. What to say, or text, during subdrop. You gave me a beautiful gift. I'm still thinking about it. You're not alone. I'm here if you need to talk. That scene meant a lot to me too. Pro tip, aftercare isn't always cuddles and blankets. Sometimes, it's words of reassurance at just the right moment. 6.5 Emotional calibration, when to push, when to pause. A great dominant knows when to intensify and when to back off. Your verbal cues help you regulate her nervous system in real time. When to push deeper, with encouragement. She's resisting out of embarrassment, not fear. Her body is receptive, but her mind is hesitant. You sense she wants to surrender more, but is unsure. Use You're safe. Let go. Don't fight it. I've got you. When to slow down or pause. She goes rigid, flinches, or shuts down. She breaks eye contact and dissociates. She seems confused, fearful, or withdrawn. Use. Pause. Breathe with me. Do you feel okay right now? We can stop anytime. Your safety comes first. 6.6 Your words become her inner voice. What you say in moments of intensity echoes in her memory long after the scene is over. If you speak with calm, strength, and care, your words become a reminder of her strength, a source of erotic affirmation, a proof that she can surrender and still be safe. That's a powerful responsibility and an incredible gift. 6.7 Final thoughts. You are the frame, not the storm. In intensity, she may become wild. She may cry, beg, laugh, tremble, moan, or collapse in your arms. She is the storm. You are the frame. Your words give shape to chaos. Your voice becomes the rope that holds her to reality while she dances at the edge of it. So speak like a man who understands that her surrender is sacred, not something to take for granted, but something to honor with every word, every breath, every moment. Because anyone can dominate a body. But a true dominant leads a woman through the depths of her mind and brings her back whole. Section 7. Aftercare language. Repair, affirm, reconnect. After a scene ends, the way you speak to her will determine whether she feels used or held. Aftercare language is intimacy at its highest. Key phrases. Aftercare. You did amazing. I'm so proud of you. Emotional validation. You're safe. I'm here with you. Grounds her nervous system. Let me hold you for a bit. Physical and verbal containment. You gave me a gift tonight. Thank you. Frame submission as something sacred. What do you need from me right now? Shows care and responsiveness. Certainly. Here's the revised and expanded Section 7, without any icons or symbols, and formatted for clarity, professionalism, and depth. Section 7, Aftercare language. Repair, affirm, reconnect. How your words heal and deepen her trust after intensity. Introduction. Aftercare isn't optional, it's erotic leadership. What you say after a BDSM scene is just as important, if not more, than what you say during it. Aftercare is the emotional and physical grounding that follows a BDSM experience. When a woman surrenders to you, especially in a deep or psychologically charged scene, her nervous system may become open, sensitive, and even raw. She may have crossed into altered states of consciousness involving arousal, deep emotional release, or catharsis. What happens next isn't simply comfort. It's reconnection. It's the proof that your dominance is anchored in care and integrity. And the most powerful way to provide that is through language. This section teaches you what to say during aftercare, why it matters, and how to use language to close the loop between intensity and intimacy. Because anyone can dominate, but few men know how to bring a woman back from surrender with grace, safety, and genuine care. That's what separates a real dominant from a performer. 7.1 The psychology of the come down. After a BDSM scene, a submissive woman may experience emotional openness, endorphin crash or subdrop, physical exhaustion, guilt or self-doubt, a need for reassurance and reaffirmation. Your words serve to stabilize her nervous system, confirm her value, and help reintegrate her into a grounded, safe emotional state. 7.2 The 4 purposes of aftercare language. Every phrase you speak in aftercare should do at least one of the following. 1. Reassure. Help her feel safe, emotionally held, and not alone. 2. Affirm. Validate her behavior and experience, make her feel appreciated and admired. 3. Reconnect. Gently guide the transition from a power exchange dynamic back to mutual closeness. 4. Anchor safety. Help her re-enter everyday reality feeling respected, cared for, and emotionally grounded. 7.3 Aftercare phrases and when to use them. Immediately after the scene, grounding and safety. These are phrases that gently bring her down from the intensity of the scene. I'm right here. You're safe. Re-establish your emotional presence. Especially important if she's quiet, frozen, or spaced out. You did so well for me. Instantly affirms her performance and reinforces positive submission. Let me hold you now, or come here. Into my arms. Invites physical reconnection after separation or restraint. Just breathe with me. Helps regulate her nervous system by syncing with your breath. You're not alone. I've got you. Reinforces emotional and physical containment in the come-down period. During physical aftercare, holding, hydration, touch. These phrases support her emotionally while you're wrapping her in a blanket, offering water, or gently stroking her body. All you need to do right now is rest. Let me take care of you. Reverses the psychological dynamic. You're now holding her, not commanding her. You were so strong. You gave me everything. Recognizes her emotional labor and vulnerability. There's no rush. Stay here as long as you need. Encourages lingering closeness and recovery. 10 to 15 minutes after play, emotional integration. At this stage, her nervous system is returning to baseline. She's more able to receive meaningful emotional affirmations. Thank you for your trust tonight. It means everything. Frames her surrender as a gift, not an obligation. What you gave me tonight was beautiful. Reinforces pride rather than shame in her submission. I love seeing you like that, so open, so real, so powerful. Connects vulnerability with emotional depth. Is there anything you need from me right now? Opens dialogue without pressure and shows attentiveness. 7 point for the power of gratitude and reverence. One of the most underestimated aspects of dominance is gratitude. Many submissive women desire to be used, but not discarded. They want to know their surrender mattered. These phrases help solidify that understanding. You gave me something sacred tonight. Thank you. Affirms her worth beyond the role she played. I don't take your submission lightly. You're deeply important to me. Grounds dominance in respect and emotional maturity. You let me in. You let me see all of you. I'll never stop appreciating that. Deepens the emotional connection and trust. 7.5 phrases to avoid after intense scenes. Even well-intentioned comments can harm her emotional state if they're poorly timed. Avoid saying, "Wow, you really lost control, didn't you?" Can trigger shame or embarrassment. Okay, we're done. I need to get up. Disregards the emotional residue she's still feeling. That was crazy. You really took it far. Implies blame or judgment. You're fine, right? Dismisses her emotional need for support. Instead, ask gently, how are you feeling? Aftercare is not about wrapping things up. It's about keeping the door open, for emotion, for safety, for closeness. 7.6 Turning aftercare into a ritual. In ongoing dynamics, aftercare phrases can become part of a trusted ritual, something she recognizes, craves, and relies on emotionally. When you say the same affirming phrase after each scene, such as, "You're safe now, my girl. That was perfect. You were perfect. You're still mine, and I've got you." You're not just soothing her. You're conditioning her to trust you more deeply each time. These words become anchors. Predictable, comforting, sacred. Final thoughts, aftercare is where you show who you are. The scene may show her your power, but aftercare reveals your character. Many men can dominate with confidence. Few know how to hold space with compassion. This is what separates a selfish dom from a true leader, one who knows that words don't just command obedience, they restore, repair, and reaffirm her place in your world. If she can collapse in your arms after giving you everything, and hear you say, "You did beautifully. I'm proud of you. You're safe now," then you're not just playing a role. You've earned the right to lead. Section 8. using language outside the bedroom. Dominant energy doesn't have to disappear once the scene ends. Words used in daily life can reinforce the dynamic and create an undercurrent of erotic tension. Examples: "You're mine. Don't forget that." In public or private. "You'll wear what I chose for you tonight. Be ready for me when I get home. Call me when you wake up. I want to hear your voice first." Section 8. Using language outside the bedroom. How subtle words sustain dominance, deepen connection, and keep her aroused all day. Introduction. Dominance is a lifestyle, not a scene. A common misconception is that dominance only exists inside the bedroom, dungeon, or during explicit kink play. But for many submissive women, what they crave most is ongoing containment, guidance, and subtle reinforcement of the dynamic, even outside the formal setting of a scene. In fact, it's often the everyday language, the small moments, the quiet phrases in passing that make her feel most connected to her submissive self and most desired by you as her dominant. This section explores how to use subtle but intentional language throughout daily life to maintain psychological arousal, deepen trust, and reinforce your presence even when you're not physically near her. It's about cultivating emotional authority, not micromanagement, and about making her feel seen, claimed, and led without ever raising your voice. 8.1 Why ongoing dominance matters. Even outside of erotic play, many submissive women desire a sense of being guided or emotionally held, subtle direction or structure to lean into, verbal cues that remind them of their dynamic, daily rituals or phrases that anchor them in their role. Your words during the normal parts of the day can keep the flame of submission glowing, even when you're both in sweatpants or on separate Zoom calls. 8.2 Tone is everything. Before diving into specific phrases, understand this: how you speak is just as important as what you say. In non-scene contexts, your dominant language should still be calm and composed, clear and intentional, protective, not controlling, understated, not theatrical. The goal is to lead her, not overwhelm her. Subtlety is your greatest ally here. 8.3 Situational language examples. Let's break this down by daily scenarios, so you can see how dominant energy can be woven into everyday life through speech. A morning interaction, setting the tone for the day. Mornings offer a powerful opportunity to ground her in her role and remind her who she belongs to before the chaos of the day begins. Examples: text me as soon as you wake up. I want to hear from my girl first thing. Wear what I picked for you today. No excuses. Look at me. I want to hear you say you belong to me before you go. Give me 1 minute of stillness. Just breathe and be mine for a second. This creates a tone of presence and protection, and even small rituals like this can anchor her in submission throughout the day. B. During the workday, maintaining psychological connection. During the day, subtle reminders help her stay emotionally connected to the dynamic, even if you're physically apart. Examples: don't forget who owns that body today. Take a break at 3 o'clock. I want a photo of your eyes, no smile. Stay hydrated. That's an order. I want you to think about what you want to do for me tonight. You'll tell me later. When you feel overwhelmed, imagine my hand at the back of your neck. That's where it stays. These aren't just instructions. They're psychological tethers. Each phrase reinforces your presence in her mind, and her body responds accordingly. See domestic or public scenarios, discreet control and containment. Dominant language doesn't always have to be sexual. In fact, the most effective everyday language is often quiet, clean, and coded. It works because she knows what it really means. Examples: stay beside me. I want you within reach. You'll order last. I'll decide if I want you to have dessert. Eyes on me when you speak. You know better. Let me handle this. You stay soft. No back talk. That tone belongs to me. These phrases aren't about restricting her, they're about leading her, showing her she doesn't have to be in charge all the time, and offering structure she can melt into. D. Physical separation, long-distance or travel scenarios. When you're not physically together, language becomes your strongest connection. Examples. Tell me how you're taking care of what's mine tonight. You'll sleep with your collar, or plug, or toy, tonight. Because I said so. I want you wet when you text me good night. Understand. You'll dream of me. And when you wake up, you'll remember who owns that mind. These messages keep the dynamic alive and heighten longing and anticipation across distance. For many submissive women, this kind of remote containment is deeply erotic and comforting. 8 point for using ritual language to reinforce the dynamic. Certain phrases, when used regularly, become rituals that evoke a specific emotional and erotic response. Over time, they become anchors for her submissive identity. Common ritual phrases. Who do you belong to? Invites a submissive response. Even a whispered "you" can bring her fully into her role. You exist for my pleasure today. Sets the emotional tone. It's not about use, it's about surrender. You'll thank me later. Implies you're leading for both your benefit and hers. That's my good girl. Use selectively, and only when earned. It can melt her instantly. These phrases are simple, but when spoken consistently and with presence, they tap into deep psychological arousal and trust. 8.5 The subtle art of correction. Even correction, when done respectfully and without hostility, is an opportunity to re-establish dynamic balance. Examples. Try that again. With grace this time. That's not the tone I expect from you. Adjust. Speak more clearly. I don't tolerate mumbling. No. That wasn't what I asked. Pay attention. Correction isn't about humiliation, it's about containment. Done right, it makes her feel seen, safe, and accountable. 8.6 Respecting boundaries and context. Not all submissive women want 24/7 DS dynamics. Some prefer subtle reinforcement only during scenes or erotic settings. You must tailor your verbal dominance to her needs, your agreement, and the context. Always consider: is she mentally emotionally available right now? Are you both in a place where this language is appropriate? Have you clearly agreed on the tone and scope of your dynamic? Ongoing dominance is only powerful if it's consensual and welcomed, not intrusive or forced. Final thoughts: speak with presence, even in the mundane. Dominance outside the bedroom isn't about constantly giving orders. It's about embodying a mindset of leadership, emotional presence, direction, and care. The right phrase, said over coffee, in the car, or in a text message, can completely change how she feels about her day, about herself, and about you. When she hears, "Stay soft for me. I've got the rest." She doesn't just feel spoken to. She feels owned, held, and chosen. And that feeling stays with her long after the scene has ended. Final thought: speak like a man who leads. The words you use shape her internal experience of you. Speak with calm. Speak with intent. Speak with empathy. A good dominant doesn't need to shout, he needs to see her, hold her, and guide her through experiences that bring her closer to her truth. Because at the end of the day, a woman doesn't just want to be commanded. She wants to be led by someone strong enough to carry her surrender. Conclusion: beyond sex, emotional leadership in intimacy. Understanding the psychological principles behind a woman's BDSM desires is not about mastering a set of kinky techniques. It's about mastering yourself. This journey has hopefully revealed a truth that runs deeper than leather or rope, deeper than the rituals of dominance and submission. At its core, BDSM, when desired and practiced with care, is a language of emotional connection, power exchange, and trust. For many women, it's not about pain, but about presence. Not about control, but about surrendering in the arms of someone who can truly hold them, emotionally, physically, and psychologically. If you are a man drawn to understanding this aspect of female desire, it means you're already stepping beyond surface-level sex. You are beginning to understand that arousal is psychological, that pleasure is relational, and that your role, if you choose it, is not to dominate from ego, but to lead from awareness and intention. This kind of leadership is rare. It requires strength, yes, but also restraint. It demands self-control, communication, emotional depth, and the courage to be vulnerable yourself. It asks you to be a mirror to her needs and a container for her surrender. Not because she is weak, but because she wants to explore parts of herself she cannot safely access without you. In a world that often misunderstands both male strength and female desire, becoming a man who understands the psychology of BDSM is a radical act of intimacy. You are not simply learning how to tie knots, you are learning how to untie her defenses. You are not just creating scenes, you are building trust. You are not simply fulfilling fantasies, you are stepping into the role of a grounded, confident, emotionally intelligent man who makes women feel both seen and safe. And that, far more than any specific kink, is the foundation of deep erotic power. So as you close this book, ask yourself, can I listen without judgment? Can I lead without needing control? Can I hold space for intensity, fear, arousal, and release? Can I earn the right to her surrender through the depth of my presence? If the answer is yes, or even I'm willing to learn, then you're already ahead of most. Your willingness to understand not just what she wants, but why she wants it, puts you on the path of true masculine mastery. This is not the end. It's the beginning of a more honest, raw, and deeply fulfilling connection with her, and with yourself.